All right, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. It's your man God of Dots back with another episode of the Audible. Hope everybody is having a very good week. Super Bowl Sunday. We're gonna talk about it, give you my breakdown, my picks, my predictions, and all of that good stuff. And I may preview. I've been trying to bring a little something else to the channel. But yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow. Housekeeping as always at the beginning of the show. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll be doing Freestyle Friday. It is a topic we kind of touched on previous Freestyle Friday shows. If you haven't checked them out, go check them out. Like, share, subscribe, all the good stuff. But yeah, we'll be doing it's an interesting topic. And it keeps evolving. So yeah, make sure you tune in tomorrow for that show. And let me kind of just get into it. How you doing, Dr. Dickey, Miss Merv? Well, I before I get started, I'm gonna show you what I've been kind of playing with. I've been trying to like change up the show just a little bit. This is a quick preview, then we'll get into the Super Bowl stuff. Check it out. Yeah. I'm thinking about using that to kind of put that together like 15 minutes before the show. That's why I was kind of late, kind of running a little bit over. But anyway, yeah, I'm starting using that for the intro. Just something different, man. Just something different. But anyway, let's kind of get into it. Super Bowl Sunday's coming up. Kansas City Chiefs, San Francisco 49ers. Before I get into the breakdown, positions, and all of that kind of stuff, I will say on paper, this looks like to be one of the best Super Bowls we've had in recent memory, for a lot of reasons. One, I think you have elite level talent on both sides of the football. When we're talking about at some of the positions on the field, when we're talking about quarterback, you need to talk about Patrick Mahomes, who, in my opinion, is the best quarterback in the league. You look at Travis Kelce, he's always in the conversation for best tight end. Then you look at the San Francisco 49ers, you have Christian McCaffrey, for lack of better terms, has been the best running back this year. We're not going to talk about George Kittle, who is also in that conversation. I mean, is there so much elite talent on both sides of the football for each team? And we'll talk about that as we get down to this breakdown. But, on paper, and it's always on paper with the Super Bowl, because sometimes they're good and sometimes they're I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this will be a very tough game overall, but it looks to be a goodie. Now, when we're breaking them down by positions, and it's going to be very key going into this game, because it's like when you really look at these teams, it's just like a perfect matchup. If you had to pick two teams in the NFL to have a Super Bowl, and now I didn't have Kansas City making it to the Super Bowl. I didn't have the 49ers making it to the Super Bowl. Thank you, Detroit and Baltimore, for letting me down in the conference championship. But on paper, like I said, this is very good. It's going to break down to be a very good game. One of the matchups I want to kind of start off with, and I don't think, if you're not a football nut, you're not really looking forward to this matchup. Travis Kelce, who has been on a playoff run. I'm not gonna, bring the girlfriend into this particular episode of the show, but has seemed to have found his stride again. Has had a very good postseason thus far. Always a threat through this, going up the seam in the middle of the field for the Kansas City Chiefs, and really kind of sets the table for the rest of the receivers on Kansas City. He's got a very, very, very tough matchup. Um, when we're talking about going up against Fred Warner, who and Pro Football Focus, and it's my personal opinion, but Pro Football Focus has him rated as the number one rated middle linebacker in the NFL. If you watch Fred Warner play for the San Francisco 49ers, he can run with the best of them. He can run with the best, one of the best coverage linebackers I've seen in recent memory. But he also has a teammate in that linebacking core, Dre Greenlaw, who is also just as capable, maybe just a notch lower, but it's also capable of guarding running backs and tight ends, coming out there in pass defense. Travis Kelsey may have a bit of a struggle. I'm curious to see what it looks like coming out in the first quarter. Does Kansas City use Travis Kelsey to kind of set up the rest of the offense, meaning getting guys open, getting guys better looks? He's used more or less a decoy coming out, or will it be a lot of what we've seen through this playoff run? A lot of Travis Kelsey as far as like being the primary target in the receiving core. Typically, Travis Kelsey has the advantage in most matchups when going against linebackers, but Fred Warner, in particular, Greenlaw is a very good linebacker himself, but Fred Warner in particular moves. He hits like a linebacker, has linebacker size, but this guy is a safety. In my, like, he moves like a safety when we're talking about in coverage. He doesn't get beat a lot. You're not going to see him lost in zone coverage, and is one of the smartest linebackers in the NFL, and that's why he's, in my opinion, considered it's the intelligence. He understands keys. He's watched the game tape. He knows the telltale signs. I don't see Travis Kelsey, dominating a Fred Warner. Now, that's not to say when you look at the stat line at the end of the game, Kansas City Chiefs, Kelsey may have 11 targets, 9 catches. And that just means, hey, he was just a heavy focus of the offense. But I don't see Fred Warner getting beat in coverage. I don't see Fred Warner being looking lost in coverage out there. And then you have Greenlaw. Even if they move Kelsey around, you have a Warner and a Greenlaw. And it does wonders for the San Francisco 49ers if they're able to neutralize Travis Kelsey with just the linebackers. They're not, having to have a safety over the top, not having to put a slot corner on Travis Kelsey. It works wonders for San Francisco as far as their defensive game plan going into this. I think if Warner is able to lock down Kelsey, it's going to be a very hard time for Kansas City as far as like the pass game going, because like I said, Kelsey has been the table setter. I do like Rashee Rice. I do like his potential to have a big game going into this, because San Francisco secondary, I mean, it's okay. It's okay. It can be had. It is some holes, but when we're talking about the linebacker position, I don't see holes there. But Rashee Rice, I look for Rashee Rice to kind of offset Travis Kelsey being taken out of the game by Fred Warner. I see Rashee Rice being able to get open against those receivers. He's had a very good rookie year. And if you caught the Kansas City Chiefs preview at the beginning of the season, if you didn't, go back and check it out. Like share, subscribe, all the good stuff. I talked about him coming out of SMU, how I think he was going to be a good complement to this offense. I expect Rashee Rice, rookie debut, I expect him to have a very, very good performance. Now, the X factor when we're talking about the Kansas City Chiefs offense is not necessarily, and we're talking about the passing game. It's not Travis Kelsey, even though he is a dynamic of a tight end we've ever seen. It's not Rashee Rice, who's had a very good rookie season. What is, or will he be? First of all, let's talk about this canary started. Will he be on the field? Will he get some burn during this Super Bowl? Played a very key role in the last Super Bowl win, a couple key catches out of the backfield, split out. He hasn't been there. He's been making a lot of noise. I'm not sure if he even really suits up and starts. They've been kind of, he's been a healthy, quote unquote, scratch on the last couple playoff games. And when you look at the rest of the wide receivers, Rashee Rice, As good as a as good as a rookie season we've seen him have this year, he's not the dynamic receiver just yet that Kadarius Tony could be. I've seen when Kadarius Tony is focused and he's very much involved in offense, he is a dynamic receiver. I'm not going to put him in the upper echelon of receivers, not going to do that. But in regard to the other receivers that they have on the team, most of those guys are either speed guys, big body guys. Kadarius Tony, it could be the X factor. He slotted to fill the quote unquote Tyreek Hill role. Has had moments, but this season it seemed like he's been distracted, been kind of off. I look at him to be an X factor. If he does not get on the field, I mean, if you're Patrick Mahomes, where else do you go? If Kelsey's locked up, like I say, I expect to see a healthy dope of Rashee Rice. That depends on how well the Kelsey matchup goes for them early on in the game. Where else do you go? I mean, you have Vandale Scantling on the outside. He can get open against the secondary, but he's had a case of the dropsies. Overall, this Kansas City team, when you look back on the season of receiving core, one of the worst ratios of drop passes in the league. So that doesn't bode well going into this game. But the Super Bowl is it is a culmination of a season. But we've seen guys have otherworldly performances in the Super Bowl. Guys you never heard of become MVPs. Yada 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 yada. But like I said, what are the matchups I'm looking for? Kelsey against Fred Warner. Who wins that matchup? I think whoever wins that matchup is going to really set the tone for the rest of the game. Another matchup I'm looking very closely at starting, especially in the first half, is the Kansas City secondary, Kansas City Chiefs secondary, who has been lights out all season, but has been very much lights out during this playoff run to the Super Bowl. I'm talking about Trent McDuffie. I'm talking about Ladarius Sneed. I'm talking about Justin Reeds at the safety position. This team has been playing lockdown coverage, whether it be zone. And what you saw against the Baltimore Ravens was a lot of zero man, a lot of cover one man. And those guys have been locked down corners at that position. Now, here comes the breaker. I think the Kansas City secondary, this is possibly the biggest challenge that they're going to have during this playoff run. Now, they've played against an elite receiver, talking about Stephon Diggs with Buffalo, but I mean, he's been kind of, all things considered, been kind of like a down year for him, but you're going against San Francisco wide receivers, and we've talked about this on the previous show. They're not quote unquote the Justin Jeffersons, yada yada yada. But one thing they do well, as far as San Francisco receiving core, they know how to get open. They're good, good route runners, good. And when you look at San Francisco's offense, especially the passing offense, it's not a team that is chucking it deep down the field. They very, Kyle Shanahan runs, pretty much his own variation. Own variation of the West Coast offense, which is a lot of short to intermediate passes, allow the wide receivers to catch the ball in space, make plays happen, and you have two of the best. If you had to create West Coast offense receivers, Deebo Samuel and Brandon Ayuk would be perfect models for that. I'm looking at that matchup. How well does Snead and McDuffie hold up against Deebo and Ayuk? Yeah, I know they can stay with them. But is Deebo and Ayuk going to be able to get separation and exploit? I think Kansas City's the strongest part of the defense going into this game has been the secondary. You can make an argument for the defensive line with some of the pressure. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But the secondary has been the star of this for me, and this is me as a football fan and fanatic. Has been the story for me for Kansas City during this playoff run. Are they going to be able to play lockdown coverage against two guys who know how to get open, who have shown all season long, hey, give us the ball in space, we'll make things happen. Especially Debo Samuel. I'm looking who's going to take the primary matchup of guarding him. Debo to me is kind of like the table setter. Much like we would talk about Travis Kelce being the table setter for Kansas City Chiefs passing game, Debo Samuel is the table setter. And Ayuk has been very good, very underrated. I expect him to be getting paid soon. May not be by the San Francisco 49, but that's a conversation for another day. But Debo Samuel is the one that sets the tempo for their passing game. And then I talk about Debo. I talk about Ayuk. Can Justin Reed and that linebacking core, and they have a very good linebacking core highlighted by middle linebacker Nick Bolton. If you don't know who he is, don't worry about it. Pro Football Focus knows, true football fans know who he is. Are they going to be able to limit the damage of a George Kittle coming across the middle and running those seam routes? Because as much as we talk about Travis Kelce, quote unquote, being the best tight end in football, I can make an argument that George Kittle is a more complete tight end. He's able to run a lot of the same routes as Travis Kelce. Plus, he's a better blocker. But I think George Kittle is an X factor. And I'm looking at will Justin Reed be focused in on him? We see that very athletic linebacking core, very underrated, by the way, linebacking core for the Kansas City Chiefs. Will they be able to limit the damage of a George Kittle? Then you always have to worry when you're playing against the San Francisco 49ers, more so than any other team, in my opinion, this season. You got to worry about Christian McCaffrey. Is he going to be splitting out a lot more? He's always a threat, either out of the backfield or spread out wide. It puts a lot of pressure. Christian McCaffrey, and you when you're using him in the passing game and he's very involved in the pass, it puts a lot of pressure on the defense. I'm curious to see, how Kansas City game plans that. Are we going to be seeing a little less man coverage going into this game? Or are we going to be seeing a lot of, cover 2, cover 4 type coverages where they're going to keep everything in front of them, kind of, make San Francisco and Brock Purdy make the reads to get down the field? I expect Kansas City to come out with some pressure early to kind of see how Brock Purdy looks going into it, because Kansas City has shown, hey, when we got the guys on the outside that can cover, don't need over the top safety help, and we're going to come after your quarterback. You saw that against Baltimore, how Lamar Jackson struggled with that. Are we going to see a lot of that early? I think we're going to get a taste of that early, but I expect Kyle Shanahan to come out. Hey, we're going to kind of come out with the concept, kind of keep it short, keep it cute. We'll work it down the field if we have to. But I don't see them, taking big strikes. Not to say big plays can't happen, but this is, like I said, we've watched San Francisco all year. This is not a team that is known to be chucking it deep. Like I said, I'm looking forward to that matchup. Is Kyle Shanahan gets the Spags defense, Spagnolia, who's known to blitz and all that. But I don't know if this is one of those games you want to be real blitz heavy. We'll see early. I think you're going to get a taste of that early to see how Brock Purdy kind of reacts. Is he going to be having happy feet in the pocket? Is he's not going to be able to read coverages? If he, you send a couple blitzes after him, it gets picked up. Will Kansas City keep with that strategy throughout the whole game? I don't know. My expectation is you're going to see a lot more zone than you saw against the Baltimore Ravens. You're going to see a lot, like I said, a lot more cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, cover 6 type coverages, where they just want to keep everything kind of in front of them and make Brock Purdy make reads based on the zone coverages that he's seeing or quote unquote not seeing. Kansas City, when they do go to zone, they have been successful in that. Like I said, the defense has been one of the best defenses all year as far as like limiting yards per game and that kind of stuff, limiting big plays. I think you can confuse Brock Purdy. If you allow him to if you get a good pass rush with your front four and you have Chris Jones in the middle, and they're known to kind of get after him. Not that's not a scary pass rush team, but this is a team that still can get after the quarterback. If they're able to kind of get a rush with that front four, gets Brock Purdy off of the spots, is he going to have the poise and um, to make those reads against a very good Spagnuolo? Is he going to be able to read those coverages? I'm not sure. When you look at this game, I think we're going to do positions and all that. We'll talk about matchups and all that, but I think the crux of this game is going to come down to how well Kansas City defense plays against the San Francisco 49ers offense. I think that for me, I think that is the biggest key, because if Kansas City is able to come out play lockdown, um, it's going to cause problems for San Francisco, because we've seen San Francisco have problems when Brock Purdy gets off of his spot. You're able to get pressure on Brock Purdy, and when you make Brock Purdy have to make reads against a lot of exotic zone coverages, when in the games that they've struggled in, that's been the issue. Like I said, that has got to be the matchup I'm watching overall. Kansas City defensively, are they going to be able to come out and lock the 49ers offense down? Because if they're able to, if they're not, if they force Brock Purdy and them guys to get off rhythm, they can be had. They can be had. I mean, like I said, it breaks down to be a very, 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 very interesting game. I think it's going to be a very, very good game. Now, I don't expect this to be what we got last year from the Chiefs and the Eagles, where teams are just going up and down the field. I think both defenses, when they're at their quote unquote peak of power, are not going to allow that to happen. But if I had to pick one defense that I think is more vulnerable at this point of the season, I have to probably pick San Francisco. I think if you San Francisco, if you focus too much on Kelsey and you don't have enough guys in the box, I think Isaiah Pacheco could have a significant impact on this game. It has been shown throughout the season with the 49ers defense, if you can get a run game going, and a consistent run game going, you can have success that'll bring. That'll mean Greenlaw, that'll mean Warner have to come down in the box more, be more focused on run defense. That can get your play action game going. And Patrick Mahomes with an effective play action game and guys running open because the run game's going is a scary thought. It is a very, 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 very scary thought. But like I said, so it's time for me to give my picks. I'm gonna go Chiefs. In the Super Bowl. I don't think I think the Kansas City Chiefs defense will make enough timely plays and stops to where it'll force Brock Purdy to be rushed. This has been a very when you really kind of like look at the games and look at the numbers, it's not like Brock Purdy has been lighting it up during this playoff run. He's kind of struggled when you're able to kind of get pressure on him. Okay, so spot him. You got 49ers 14-10. I can respect that. Like I said, I don't think this is going to be one of those games we got last year. Guys are just going up and down the field, no defense really being played. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at a 49ers, and you picking the 49ers. There might be a little bit of a Cali bias, but there's neither here nor there. But I got Chiefs. I got Chiefs. I think Kansas City's defense will confuse Brock Purdy enough that he'll make some crucial mistakes. I think the defense, and they've shown this throughout the season, but especially during this playoff run, like we can get stops when we need to get stops. And if you want to do some damage against this Kansas City, this Kansas City defense, you're gonna have to have some big time playmakers make plays. And I think this has kind of been the question with the 49ers all year: is Brock Purdy that guy? He's had a very good season. I'm not going to say the guys have been carrying him. I mean, he's in a very good system. He has very good talent around him. But when it's time to make plays, he's kind of he's kind of struggled in those spots. And we can go back to the NFC Championship game. He kind of struggled in that first half. You know, Detroit was kind of getting after him. It forced him to some mistakes. So I think Brock Purdy, is he going to be able to really attack this Kansas City Chiefs defense? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And if I had to put money on it, I'm gonna go Chiefs defense wins that battle. And I think that's going to be, the key for me. I think 49ers defense against the Kansas City Chiefs offense, I think to me it's kind of like a wash. I expect both of those respective units to have some success, but I think Kansas City, with how well the secondary is playing, if they're able to force Brock Purdy, and I think that's going to be the key. If you can get Brock Purdy off his spot, get him moving around, get him trying to disguise blitzes, disguise your coverage, and he's not able to read it. I don't think he's that level of a quarterback to take advantage. I mean, and you saw this with the Baltimore Ravens. As much as I love Lamar Jackson's season, and I think he'll be MVP when they do. I want to say the honors is tonight when they give out the awards. I think Lamar Jackson's MVP, but he struggled reading the coverages. When they play the Chiefs, I think they're going to give Brock Purdy some of those same issues. He kind of struggled in that Lions game. He struggled in the Lions game when they were able to get pressure with just the front four, a blitz here or there, but it forced him into some mistakes. And he didn't play like lights out football. I'm just saying. And like I said, my pick, Chiefs. Chiefs win. I'm not going to pick a score because I suck at that. Let Gator Girl tell it I suck at picking teams, but I got Chiefs. I got Chiefs over the 49ers. I think Kansas City Chiefs defense makes enough stops and makes enough time to plays against this 49ers offense to edge it out. And like I said, it's going to be a low scoring game. I don't expect this to be a blowout or nothing like, or a high scoring game, because they're how both of these teams have kind of come into this run. Like, nah, it hasn't been that. San Francisco, to me, has looked like the out of the two, look like the team that's not completely in rhythm coming into this game. But hey, it's a Super Bowl; anything can happen. I'm looking forward to the game. Before I close out the show, a little bit of Kansas City Chiefs news. It's been reported that Eric Bieniemy has met with the Kansas City Chiefs organization for whatever reason. I do not know. He may be going back. If if you've been following the channel, following the shows, I've been following the Eric Bieniemy story ever since last season, and now that he's out of a job in Washington after being replaced by the new head coach. I'm curious to see does Bieniemy come back? Does he come back, resume offensive coordinator position in Kansas City next year? Does he come back as a consultant? I'm curious to see how that story kind of plays out. Like I said, be here tomorrow. We'll be doing a Freestyle Friday show. If you've been listening to the other Freestyle Friday shows, we can be kind of talking about the NIL. This is some new stuff come out in regards to college sports that I want to kind of bring to the table, because it kind of changes the conversation. Overall, kind of changes the conversation. Some decisions were made, some court decisions were made, some fouls was made, and that kind of stuff was made. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. As far as the other space, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'll get inspired in the morning. I don't know. But for sure, we'll be doing the Freestyle Friday show over here. As always, like, share, subscribe. Also a little bit of plug. Make sure y'all, if you're not subbed to Spot'em, I think I want to say Spot'em, you did this last year. You did the you was kind of like live streaming the Super Bowl. I think I want to say you did it last year, if I'm not mistaken, before the NFL gods found you and shut it down. But yeah, Spot'em's got a live setup NFL Sunday. For those folks who are not being able to get in front of a TV, come kick it. come kick it with and enjoy yourself. Like I said, I want to say he did it last year, but I think the NFL caught his ass midstream. I'm not if I remember that correctly, that's how it went down. But make sure y'all go over there and check that out. Well, I think that's about it. Oh, Germ, if you're listening, uh yeah, Germ, if you're listening, yeah, this I hit you up. Oh, you live stream Super Bowl 56. Yeah, I knew it was one of them Super Bowls you live stream. Did they cut you off? I want to say because you were streaming and I think the stream got interrupted, but maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm just, I'm in. Yeah, they sniped me. I knew you were streaming something and they got your ass. So yeah, for those who are not gonna be able to be in front of a TV, do the work or whatever, man, yeah, go over there, hang out with Spot 'em Up. We'll be streaming the game as long as the NFL gods. Before I close out, Usher's halftime show. Huh. I'm curious to see what that set is going to look like. I know people, you got to remember halftime is only 20 minutes. So you may get 16, 17 minutes of good Usher. Kind of lower your expectations. Lower your expectations. You're not going to get some BET Awards presentation. Lower your expectations. Lower your expectations. But I think overall, I think it'll be a very good game. I got Kansas City. I got Kansas City in a close one. It's on paper. It is a perfect matchup at a lot of positions. It is a perfect matchup at a lot of positions. So yeah, we'll yeah, and like I said, we'll be back tomorrow, Freestyle Friday. Not sure about the other space as far as like the not second show. I think we're off this week. Working on some stuff for that. Yeah, brother, man, working. I still gotta. I said I gotta find some time for the other corporate space I'm trying to set up. I gotta find some time to do that. Shit. I'm busy. All right, so let me get my behind up out of here, man. As always, y'all know the phrase that pays over here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out. Loving you is all